I want a better sex life with my
We all
spouse.
do.
I don't know what to do about this. I don't know if this is okay in a marriage. I don't know XYZ.
I can't make my wife, I can't bring her this pleasure that she desires.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm Joe.
I'm Krissy.
And welcome to The Married Life. Today, we have some special guests with us from Kingdom Sexuality, and we are talking sex today. And we know you love talking about sex. We love talking about sex.
You love talking about sex.
I love that with you. Listen, it's always our most viewed videos. So this is for all of our subscribers out there. If you're not subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button. If you're like, yeah, I want a better sex life with my spouse, because you know what? I want a better sex life with my spouse.
We all do.
Practice makes perfect. You know, and I need more practice.
Sure. Sure.
Anyway, so I want to introduce Kingdom Sexuality team, and let's start off with Elena, who is the founder. Tell us a little bit about it and how you guys got started, how the team came about, and where you guys are at now, what you're doing.
Yeah, totally. So it all got started when I was in a time in my life where I was realizing that sex was good, it was enjoyable, but it wasn't maybe all that it could be. And I was talking to some friends, and one of my friends was like, "Oh yeah, something about having multiple orgasms." And I don't know if you guys normally start off your podcast talking about orgasms, but here we go.
Here we go.
Jumping in today.
This is what people want. So yes, 100%.
Wait, what?
Right.
Multiple?
We don't talk about that. The O word? No.
So just breezy start to this. So anyways, and at that point in my marriage, 6 years in, I was like, if people are having multiple, I should be able to have at least one. And so it just got me started on this like journey after having a baby. And in this postpartum season, we're like, okay, Lord, like, I want our sex life to be something that I look forward to and I thoroughly enjoy and find pleasure in, like even more deeply. And so I just started looking into different resources, especially in the Christian space. I was really having a hard time finding things in that time. And now that I'm in the space, I'm like, wow, there's so many things out there. But for some reason, and maybe it was like the Lord just kind of like blocking them because this needed to be a thing. But anyways, and so it was like a year at least of me praying into this and okay, like, what is this, Lord? Like, is this, something in my own church? Is this, something with my Instagram account? Is this, like, I just didn't know. And I was talking to a mentor and she's like, Elena, I think this is a podcast. I was like, that'd be so weird. And like, how do I do this by myself? How do I do this well and protect my marriage? Do I do this on my own? And anyways, I had a different friend reach out to me on Instagram. It had been about a full year since I had been kind of dreaming and scheming about this and journaling and praying. And she's like, hey, like you keep coming to my mind about stuff with like intimacy and whatever. Like, can we just like set up a call and talk about this? And so we set up a Zoom call, and then her and I decided to, at that point, start the podcast together. And so the team has morphed and changed over time. So I started with my friend Paris, and she's no longer a part of the podcast because she had a bunch of family stuff going on. But when her and I were still doing it together, we were like, okay, let's have content for men on Thursdays, because at the beginning our stuff was pretty women specific. And so we were like, let's start talking to the men about stuff. And so we got a DM from Kyle, and he's like, hey, if you ever want a dude to actually, talk about this from a guy's perspective, let me know. And then Kyle joined the team. And so then Paris left, and it was just Kyle and I for a while there. And we're like, okay, this is good, but I feel like this can't just be the Alana Kyle show. Like, we need another person here, part of this team, to fill the gaps. And then Tia reached out, and we've just been a team ever since. So it's been amazing seeing how God's worked and provided through the years and made this something where we can provide resources for couples from a Christian perspective. So if people are in that space that I was, it's like, oh, I have questions. I don't know what to do about this. I don't know if this is okay in a marriage. I don't know XYZ. They have a safe place where they can go and be like, oh, I don't have to Google this. I can just look and see and learn what I need to know from a wholesome perspective.
Yeah. Even as you just said that about, a friend of yours is having multiple orgasms, you're like, do I have any? I know that there are so many women out there, and I shared the statistic, I think it was our last podcast anyways, that I think it's, what was it? 60, 70, 80% of women that don't actually have an orgasm. And then I was surprised that like 37% of men don't. I was like, I didn't even know that was possible. Like, but it's real. And so,
is.
and people need to know, what does that look like? So even like as you were going on that journey, I guess what might be hard for some people is how a wife would communicate to her husband, because that might make him feel like he's not actually fulfilling what he thought he was for so long. It might make him feel less of a man. Like, so how was that conversation with your husband to be able to go from a place of not having any orgasms to a place of now you obviously have a online ministry of that's speaking on sexuality. And so what did that look like for those women out there? They're like, how do I engage with this conversation?
For us, it was nice because I was in that season of being postpartum where we couldn't have sex anyway. And so I think I was pretty open with him about like, okay, during this time, I want to try and look into ways so that I can have an orgasm. And he's always been on board with, like, it's not that it was like a lack of trying. It was just like, we just didn't really know specifically what would do it. And I think that's a lack of like education in the Christian realm specifically to know what does this actually require. And I remember being, like I said, we got married really young. I was 18, he was 19. And I had a friend who was talking to me beforehand, like an older married friend. And she's like, yeah, you know what? I just can't orgasm. And some women just can't. And, you know, she was, I think, trying to like lower my expectations before I got married. But for me, it was just, then I did get married and I didn't. And I was like, I guess I'm just the one that can't. And so I think there's a huge gap in education there too for women to be like, oh, I just don't, so I can't. But I think as far as like talking to your husband about it, I think it just requires a lot of honesty, especially if there has been like faking it. It's part of like, hey, like this is a really tough conversation, but you know, maybe this hasn't been happening, and I would love for it to actually be happening. Can we somehow, you know, do some exploring? Can we prioritize my pleasure a bit and just try and learn what feels good for me? Because maybe she doesn't actually know.
Yeah. And I would say, and I bet Kyle, you can speak into this too, but as a man, like I want to explore my wife.
Amen.
And I want her to have an orgasm. Like I want her to be at the spot of, oh, like I find such pleasure in this. Not like what you just said of like, have they been faking it just because they feel like I have to, because this is what I've seen on a movie or on TV or wherever it is, like, and not even knowing, just like you said, there's not teachings behind it of what else. Because I mean, so for all the men out there, just to help encourage you, even asking your wife that, having the honest conversation. And we talked about this before. It's like, even when bringing in another toy, another item, asking, would you feel comfortable with that? Because again, it's like, it's for you. I want to make sure that you are being taken care of, that you are finding pleasure in this, that I don't want to be selfish. And I think that's something that's like helped me out is, I mean, I think it is still selfish because it's, like I said, it's you. It's like, you know, like I just can't get enough. Like I tell Krissy, I was like, you are my drug of choice. Like I am
like, aw, I didn't know how to quite. Thank you.
Thanks. That's so great, I guess.
I know, right? We hit that all the time. But Kyle, like, you know, as she's sharing that, what are your thoughts on that from the man's perspective of if your wife said, hey, I'm struggling here?
Yeah, I think there definitely is that side of, you know, it could hit a man's ego pretty hard if like, oh, like I can't make my wife orgasm. I can't bring her this pleasure that she desires. But I think both parties just need to be humble about it, right? And work together. Like Elena said, it's going to be a journey, and it's for 99% of women, it's not something that's not achievable. So like it is out there. Like you can get there. And it might take something like a third party. Like you might need to go get some sex therapy. We recently partnered with this amazing Christian counseling program, and they specialize in Christian sex therapy. And this is all they do, right? So much of it is not, I can't orgasm because my parts don't work. It's 99% in the mind and in the brain. And that's kind of where it is. So from the guy's perspective, man, you should like desire this. A husband who loves his wife wants her pleasure. I think often too, guys get just as much or more pleasure seeing their wife be in pleasure than receiving pleasure themselves. Like, we as men love pleasing our wives, especially sexually. So wives, I think don't be afraid to tell your husband this, because there's a good chance that he's all in on exploring and being your partner to get you where you want to go.
Yep.
And I think too, there's like often a hesitancy within, maybe it's specifically like Christian women, as like, oh, well, my husband needs to lead, my husband needs to like know what he's doing. Whereas like really it's on the woman to actually know her body enough to know where things need to be, what you need to be doing in order to get her there. And so I think it requires a woman to realize, oh, I need to actually do some work and I need to know my body. I need to know what feels good. Which, like, if you're being really passive about it and you're like, oh, it'll just happen when it happens, it probably won't happen. You kind of actually have to take the lead in some areas and be like, no, like, I can do this. And this is something that works. And we can try this. Or like, let's try this. Like, to be able to speak your mind in the bedroom and share your heart, which can take courage if it's not something a couple is used to doing.
Yeah.
I also think that,
go ahead, Tara. Yeah.
I was going to say also, like, coming out of, okay, my mouth is still half frozen. I can't say my P's very well. Coming out of purity culture.
Dentist, just what, a couple hours ago, right?
Yes. So half my mouth is frozen.
So people know, wait, why can't she
why does she sound funny?
She does not have a speech impediment.
Yeah. No, I think like being raised in purity culture, you know, you're told sex is, you know, dirty, don't do it. And then you get married. And if you haven't, you know, explored yourself or feel good about your body right away, sex will start feeling like a chore. And, you know, we're told, you know, like you're going to want to keep your husband happy, you know, that'll keep him away from porn or keep him from having an affair. Like you need to be available for him. And so if you have that thought pattern already, like even at the beginning of your marriage, you're not even thinking about how sex can be pleasurable for you. You know, it might take a little bit because sex takes practice. You're not going to have huge fireworks and orgasms the first time, most likely, right. You know, and so you're going to have it in your mind like, okay, yeah, that didn't feel amazing. And you start those brain thoughts that are like, okay, yeah, I guess this isn't really going to be that great. And then you get in the pattern of like, okay, yeah, I guess you know, it's been a few days. I guess we should have sex, you know, to keep him happy. And so it just turns into this one big thing about, oh, I need to do this for my husband. I need to give to my husband. And there's nothing about God's plan in us women receiving pleasure. You know, we were the ones that were created with a clitoris, the one that's the organ that's literally only intended for pleasure. It has no other purpose. Like God obviously did that on purpose and designing it that men get pleasure, the husbands get pleasure from pleasuring their wives and seeing their wives happy. And so women really need to be able to kind of have that mindset shift of being able to receive pleasure and being like, okay, I'm going to let my husband pleasure me. And I'm going to be vocal about what I actually want. And it's going to make him happy. Like this is a chance to actually enjoy myself. And instead of, you know, giving to my kids and giving to husband, it's not just another to-do list. It's an actual time where you can relax and fully allow somebody to give fully to you, to receive. And, you know, but a good chunk of that also starts with being okay with your body. And that is such a hard thing for so many women. You know, we're bombarded obviously with you know, mainstream culture and how we should look and, you know, anti-aging and, you know, be thin and all of that. And so there could be so much already pressure on us to look a certain way. And then if you're in purity culture, we've been told to cover everything up. You know, how many women in the Christian circle have actually, you know, taken a mirror and looked at themselves down there? You know, the first reaction is like, oh yeah, no, I don't want to go down there. Like, you know, but it takes, if you don't feel comfortable with your body and seeing like, hey, God made all of these lips, you know, what do? You're going to have to actually move them to see everything. Like it's, God made all parts of our bodies. He made all parts of our bodies good. And to be able to really accept that and label that as you're even just looking and seeing what God made down there, the more comfortable you can be in your own body, the more comfortable you're going to feel with husband exploring there or touching you there or having his face close there. The smells, everything that, we're told is like, ooh, dirty, don't go there.
Mhm.
The more practice you have in being accepting of your own body, including your vulva and all those areas, the more open you're going to be able to receive from your husband.
If you're going to invest in your marriage today, I want you to hit that subscribe button now.